All right, guys, today we are going to be talking about week 3 coming up. We're going to be diving into week 2 takeaways, as well as some of the news and notes that have happened going into this coming week. And don't forget, we're going to be hitting on that of our hit its and quit its, which is our starts and sits. And we're going to sprinkle in a little bit of that Thursday night game as well. Don't forget, guys, subscribe, like, share, follow on all social media platforms out there: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, X, and all over where podcasts are found. Get ready. We're diving in.
All right. Welcome to the show. This is the Frankly Fantasy Football Podcast. We are your hosts, Frankie and Johnny. What's happening, brother?
What's happening, man? Oh my God. Whoa, hold on. Whoa. What a crazy week 2. What the hell, brother?
You know, I said it last week. Kyle Brandt says that week 1 is a liar. Week 2 is fucking insane. Okay, that bitch needs to go into her bedroom and lock the door and not come out.
Throw away the key, because ain't nobody want to see you.
Throw away the key, man. Yeah, what a bloodbath. I mean, I think this episode is going to be entitled Bloodbath because it was not. Did you make it out unscathed? How'd you do? Did you get banged up? You took some shots?
John, I'm screwed. I'm really hurting in a few leagues. Like, I'm talking, I got Pacheco down. I got Cooper Kupp down. I got AJ Brown down. I mean, it's Deebo Samuel down. I mean, dude, it's brutal. And in some of these leagues, it's multiple of these guys in one league. How did you? I actually know. Like, John, are you okay, man? How you feeling?
First of all, as much as I pray to the fantasy gods, they are not smiling on me right now.
They are not.
They are not. I took a beating. I'm not gonna lie.
Give the viewers and listeners just in one league, like, just give the rundown of what you had, like, happen, like, in the
when you start looking at my team, the top 5 players are gone. They're completely gone. I was heavy on the Dolphins. I was heavy on Pacheco. It's Cooper Kupp. I lost a lot, man. I mean, I had and we have one league I'm in. I had the Cooper or the Tua Tyreek stack.
Yep.
Loved it. Hit week 1. I'm loving it. I said, this is going to be beautiful. And I had Jordan Love as my other quarterback. Jordan Love gets hurt week 1. Week 2, Tua's hurts. And I've got Tua and Jordan Love on my team, and nice. I can't do shit about it. So hey, you know what? I got work to do, Frank.
That's right.
I got work to do. You can't just sit there, play your studs, and just walk away, set it, and forget it, man. You got to do some work. And you know what? Usually I get a little longer to do some work, but I got to do some work in week 2. So I'm all over the waiver wire. I'm going crazy. I'm going to make some trades. My leagues, get ready, because I'm going to be all over your asses. I'm going to be sending trades left and right, baby. You know?
I'm ready to run through a wall, John. You got me fired up for week 3, baby. That's right. If you're down and out, get your ass to work. Turn that team around.
That's right. You got to be an active owner, guys. You got to get, especially early on in the year, you've got to hammer those waivers, man. Got to look at those waivers. Look what we've seen before. Amon-Ra St. Brown was a waiver wire pickup. Puka Nacua was a waiver wire pickup last year. Kyren Williams was a waiver wire pickup last year. You've got to be on it, because you might find the diamond in the rough early in the season. So hopefully I'm going to do. We'll see. We're going to talk about the news and notes and the injuries. We're going to go through. It's just a bloodbath. We might play. I need the bell from Hell's Bells to just start ringing as we're doing the news. Maybe I'll put that in the post. All right. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. Thanks for coming to the show. And thank you for following us on social media. Social media has been such a huge driver for us. Make sure you're following us on TikTok and on Instagram. Instagram is the place to be. It's so beautiful, guys. It's wonderful. But Frankly Fantasy Football, make sure you're following us and sub up on YouTube, guys. Please watch the YouTube videos, franklyfantasyfootball.com. All right. Frankie, let's do some little takeaways here. Let's talk a little bit about what we saw in week 2 here. Some big takeaways here. First thing I want to say is the Steelers. I'm going to say it again, and we're probably going to talk about it every week, but the Steelers are 2-0, and they've scored 1 touchdown. I just thought that was a funny thing to shout out. Okay. 1 touchdown in 2 weeks, and they're 2-0. So
wow,
you do that math.
Yeah.
All right. Some of the other things, Frankie, I want to talk about here. We got some teams got right. Okay. We talked about this. Just chill. Have patience. It's week 1. There's no preseason hardly. They're going to take a few weeks for some of these teams to get their shit together and some of these offenses. We had a few get it together just a bit. We've got the Browns, the Jets, the Cardinals, the Bills, and the Raiders all got their shit together a little bit this week, man, and their offenses. Any of these teams jump out to you as far as fantasy goes of, highlights or moving forward, what you're thinking?
Definitely, John, two of them for sure. Cardinals. I mean, MPJ, Kyler Murray stack. That's going to be
MHJ.
so fun. Oh, yeah, MHJ. Thank you. That's right. Marvin Harrison Jr., guys. Love that, man. That's going to be so fun. James Conner, just an absolute brute force there. Trey McBride. I'm all about it, man. Cardinals are going to be fun for fantasy. And the Raiders, baby. John, they're not just a fly-by-night bullshit team. Devontae Adams actually has something going on there, like legit. You got Brock Bowers, right? Very, very legit. And you got to give some flowers to Gardner Minshew, man. I mean, it's been fun to watch these guys for sure.
It's what we were hoping for with Gardner Minshew. We talked about it in New Faces and New Places when Gardner went over there and got named the starter. And it's exactly what we were hoping for. It's what we wanted. I can chuck the ball. So that's what we wanted. And that brings us fantasy points. So it's great. All right. Well, we also had Upset City. The fantasy gods were not smiling on all these teams. Big time upsets this week, man. Vegas over Baltimore. Holy shit. Baltimore starting 0-2.
0-2.
0-2.
After leading by 10 points in the fourth quarter against the Raiders and lost.
Yeah. Tampa Bay over Detroit. How about Tampa right now, man? How about the quarterback one on the season with Baker Mayfield right now? I mean,
mind-blowing.
You got to love it, man. Minnesota over San Francisco. San Francisco looked like world beaters. I mean, it looked like no one was going to beat these guys. Minnesota comes out. Sam Darnold. Once again, we've got Sam Darnold. We've got Baker Mayfield. I mean, these guys are balling out, man. It's crazy. Yeah. Who else we got here? New Orleans over Dallas. New Orleans. Oh, my God. What? Derek Carr. Okay. We spend all this time in the offseason breaking down Patty Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen. And then who do we have? We got Derek Carr, Baker.
Derek Carr looks like a freak of nature right now, John. And then, I mean, New Orleans, fun fact for those listening and watching, this past week, they had the most bets to win the Super Bowl in Vegas, was New Orleans. I mean, just silly. Maybe not silly, but just crazy shit.
It is. And it's great to see Rashid Shaheed. I mean, this is a guy you can play in your flex, and it's a beautiful flex play, man. Yeah. Like to see more out of Olave. They score 44 points, and Olave just, he had a good game, obviously, but he really hasn't lit it up yet. So we're still waiting on the Olave game to come, but I do think it will. All right. And Packers beating Indy with Malik Willis, man. I mean, that is one that got me by surprise because I was starting all my Colts. I thought this was going to be a completely different game, but man, these guys came out and played, man. How about Josh Jacobs? Great to see Josh Jacobs.
Wow. Awesome. And dude, again, Josh Jacobs, amazing, but Malik Willis, what did he go? 12 for 14 or something like that, John, for 122 yards? I mean, what? Against the Colts?
That's a stat line. I guess that's all you need for in the NFL these days is, 12 passes or 12 completions for 140 yards. It seems to be a pretty popular stat line.
Crazy.
But it was good to see Josh Jacobs absolutely ball. It was great to see Alvin Kamara with his 4 tutties absolutely ball out. Some blasts from the past, man. These old guys are not going to give up the status to the young bucks yet, man. All right. And the last thing here, the takeaway that I've got is Johnny's boy band is back. It is together. It is back. We've got 2 new members, and we're glad you all waited on these guys. But Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Neighbors, baby. These guys come to Johnny's boy band. Let's go. All right. There's ass slapping and high fives to go around for everybody. All right. So those 2 rooks, the 2 young bloods, they're going to be joining DK Metcalf, JJ, and Devontae Adams, all tore it up this week. All in Johnny's boy band. The only guy we're missing, it's the bass player, and it's AJ Brown.
Yeah.
Guy couldn't go. We'll talk about that here in the news. Speaking of which, baby, let's get to the news.
The season 2,000 yards that you just don't expect. Absolutely lost. Flip out.
News and notes.
All right, guys, before we get to the news here, I want to tell you about our partnership with BetStamp and Sign Up Expert. It's opening up this incredible opportunity for you guys, our viewers and listeners, to join some of our favorite sports books to get the best odds and new user offers. Take advantage of these new user offers, guys. You put a $20 bet in, you'll get $10 bet back. You'll get different bets and different rewards back. It's wonderful, guys. Take advantage of all of these, please. Head over to our dedicated page at signupexpert.com/frankly to explore a selection of sports books tailored to your region, each with unique offerings. If you're ready to take your sports betting to the next level, like Frankie and I know we do, show some love for our brand, guys. Please sign up for your next sports book through my Sign Up Expert link. You can find it in the description of this video or go to signupexpert.com/frankly. All right. Let's get into some news here, man. Let's ring the bell here because it's about to get dark. All right, Deebo Samuel, wide receiver for the San Francisco 49ers, will be sidelined a couple of weeks due to a calf strain. What are the implications here, Frank?
I mean, it's huge, Sean. I mean, it's really, really big. This immediately upgrades Brandon Aiyuk to what he should already be, if I'm being honest with you. But yeah, this immediately makes him a top 10 play from a receiver perspective this week. And I also think that if George Kittle is in there, if he's able to play and rock and roll, he's healthy, I think this only elevates him as well. So be looking out for that of BA and that of George Kittle, man.
Okay. AJ Brown, it was nice of them to rule him out early. So
sure.
At least we had some time to figure that one out, you know. AJ Brown, now he says he's going to miss a couple of weeks with a hamstring injury. So keep an eye on that. I don't know if he included Monday night or not, but a couple of weeks. Keep an eye. He might be out for a little bit here. Cooper Kupp, this hurts my soul. Oh, man, let's just moment of silence for Cooper Kupp right now. Jesus.
Go.
Okay. All right. Cooper Kupp hitting the IR. He's going to miss some time here. It could be more than the 4 weeks minimum for the IR. Ankle injury, left in an air cast walking boot. Yeah, it's not good, man. The guy was just tearing up exactly what we were predicting and hoping for. He's going to be out for a while, as well as Puka. We'll get to that team a little bit later here. Pacheco. The first champion has fallen, Frankie. This one hurts my soul. I'm so heavily invested in Isaiah Pacheco. Isaiah Pacheco, fractured fibula, out 6 to 8 weeks is what it's looking like. So we're looking at 2 months for Isaiah Pacheco. Chiefs, they've signed Kareem Hunt off the couch. They've got Samaje Perine that the Bengals dropped after camp, and they've got Carson Steele. Okay. Do you have the Steele underpants to start Carson Steele here, man? Let's talk about this backfield though, because this is a shakeup. And the one thing I want to point out to everybody, these are much worse than the CMC injury, because CMC, nearly every single person that drafted CMC should have picked up Jordan Mason at the end of their draft. He was the only other running back on the roster with CMC, the clear handcuff. These injuries we're going to talk about today, guys, there are not clear handcuffs for these guys. These are going to be some pretty muddy waters in these backfields. Frankie, talk a little bit about what we might be able to expect or what you would do with this Kansas City backfield as a Pacheco owner.
Yeah. So guys, as a Pacheco owner, and I do not have a good RB2 option. I went hero ball with Isaiah Pacheco. That's literally what happened. So first and foremost, you need to go hit the waiver. It's going to be Kareem Hunt. It's going to be Carson Steele. It's going to be Samaje Perine. You got to get a piece of one of them. So definitely be spending your fab dollars, definitely be spending your priorities, whatever it may be. And however you pick up waivers, go for that. John, what this means, though, is that I would expect week one, it's going to be a heavy dose of Carson Steele. Carson Steele is going to get the nod. He had an excellent preseason, very, very good undrafted rookie. And I think that he's going to take the bulk of the load on the first and second down. I think we're going to see a much bigger dose of Samaje Perine as well for this coming week. Now, again, guys, everything could change. When Kareem gets into fold, when he starts figuring out the offense, I mean, again, he already knows this offense to a certain degree, right? It's only been a few years since he's been removed from this offense. And so I think that he gels really well with, Andy Reid and Patty Mahomes, and obviously they have a stellar offensive line. So yeah, one of these guys are going to end up rise to the surface. But for this coming week, if we're solely focusing on week 3, I'm going to go with Carson Steele. And just you can get him probably cheaper than what you can get Kareem, knowing Kareem's more than likely going to be the longer term option there. But for me, man, I'm gonna be targeting Carson Steele as the guy that can probably get you at least through week 3 here. But it's miserable. This is really tough.
It is. I think it's going to be super frustrating because I think Carson Steele is the pick for this week
Mhm.
because I do think it's going to be on Patrick Mahomes. You're going to get a much heavier dose of Patrick Mahomes. You're going to see Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice running into rounds. They're going to get a little play out of the backfield as well, I think. But I think you're right. I think it is Carson Steele this week with a little peppering of Samaje Perine. But as Perine, like I said, he hasn't been on the team very long. As Perine gets comfortable, I think he's going to eat into that, and he's going to be the guy catching the passes out of the backfield and he's got better pass protection.
Mhm.
Think about that. This is a rookie. This is a between the tackles kind of guy. Is Andy Reid going to trust him for pass protection for Patrick Mahomes? I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see on that. And again, Kareem Hunt. He's annoying. We've seen him on the Browns. It's annoying. He's going to come in. He's going to run goal line stuff,
Goal line.
So I just have a feeling there's not going to be good answers. It's going to be week to week, and who's the hot hand on this offense in this backfield. I think it's going to be really brutal, guys. But my goal is to pick up one of these guys. I am targeting Carson Steele first because I don't have anybody to start this week, so I'm going a little heavier on him. But if I can get Samaje Perine in another league, if I can get Kareem Hunt in another league, I'm also going after those guys to see what I can do. Okay. All right, let's move on here. Panthers bench Bryce Young for Andy Dalton. The Red Rockets back, baby. Let's take fantasy football back to like 2005.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, talk about this briefly. I mean, everybody's talked about it, so we want to go on and on about it. I mean, you're not starting Bryce Young anyway. In fact, last week we told you not to start anybody on this putrid goddamn Panthers team. But now things change a little bit. The implications for Bryce Young, probably not going to be a Panther. Maybe they make a trade somewhere if somebody's desperate, but I think they're moving on. They broke him. They destroyed him. Maybe he'll do well somewhere else. Good luck to you. I hope he does. Now, with Andy Dalton, can you start anybody yet, or should you be waiting to see if you can start anybody on this team?
Guys, if you had Debo, if you had Cooper Kupp, if you had some of these other cats that we're going to mention that literally you will not be able to play and the waiver wire is thin, right? Look at Deontay Johnson. Deontay Johnson he's been horrible. John, we're in a 14-man double flex league together, okay? I've had to start Deontay Johnson already due to other injuries, okay? It's been miserable. He has had like 3 fantasy points last week or this past week in a half PPR setting. It has been terrible. And here's the deal. He is going to be much more interesting with that of the Red Rocket behind there. And so is Thielen. Thielen is also another guy, again, that maybe he's still on the waiver. If you had one of the Cooper Kupps, if you had an A.J. Brown, if you had a Deebo Samuel, and you are staring at a bunch of nothing, why not pick up White Adam? Give him a shot, because you at least know his floor is going to be decent, right? You know it's going to be 3 catches for 35 yards. Cool. In a full PPR that's 6 points in a flex, I mean, shit, it sucks, but there's way worse options out there. So for me, man, I think that this does 2 things. It could help Deontay Johnson, and I think that old white guy to old white guy, and that being, Red Rocket to Adam Thielen, it could be interesting just because they've both been in the league a while. They both kind of know each other a little bit more. So we could see an uptick there. But other than that, man, it's pretty much those 2 guys.
All right, Amon-Ra, man, you almost really took a beating this week. Amon-Ra avoids a major injury, but he had a contusion and cramping. He says he's going to be fine. I mean, this guy, he could get shot on the field and still want to play. So he's tough as nails, man. I don't see an issue moving forward with Amon-Ra, but just keep an eye on that status just in case. Same situation, actually, with Justin Jefferson. Says he's ready to go. He had a quad injury, left the game, came back. Everything seems like it's going to be fine, but just keep an eye. You know how these things go. They seem fine all week. And then in warm-ups or practice on Friday, something happens and, you'll see a last-minute adjustment there. Evan Ingram, another one here, injured in pregame with hamstring. I mean, this goes to show you guys this is a lesson in fantasy football that you must pay attention prior to your games, because I'm sure a lot of people turned on the game at 1 o'clock. They set their lineups at 9 in the morning when they got up.
Yep.
didn't pay attention, maybe mowed the lawn, came in to watch football, and all of a sudden their tight end's on the fucking bench, and they had no yeah. So you got to pay attention to this stuff. Yeah, I was in warm-ups. He hurt his hamstring here. Hamstring injury with a tight end like this, a guy who runs a lot of routes. Keep an eye on it. You're not going to know until later in the week if he's going to be good to go. CMC, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because we were pretty far ahead on this news already from last week, but CMC is looking like he could miss 6 weeks with the Achilles tendonitis, may need longer to heal. So just keep an eye on that. Hopefully you've got Jordan Mason. About 50% production from CMC is Jordan Mason, and that seems to be holding true. You should be fine until he comes back. Jordan Love. This is actually good news. Jordan Love's eyeing a week 5 return after his MCL sprain. So that would be great news. If you've got Jordan Love, hopefully you didn't drop him. You can hold on to him for a few weeks here or have him in your IR. But we're looking at a week 5 return, hopefully. Tua Tagovailoa left the game with a concussion. Oh man, did you see he had the fingers were doing this again? And people were trying to tell him not to retire. People are trying to tell him not to play football anymore. He's saying he's not retiring. I think he's going to spend some time, and I think family is going to really be chirping in his ear about not coming back out there, man.
CTs
like this,
and stuff.
Yeah, the CT it's terrible. So scary stuff with Tua. Not sure what's going to happen with him. He is placed on IR. So they're putting him in the IR slot as he's dealing with the concussion and coming back from it. He's talking with neurologists. Okay. Miami signs Tyler Huntley. They've also got Skylar Thompson's going to be starting. All right. Are we shitting our pants about Waddle and Tyreek? What are you doing here, man, with this change?
Yeah. No, yes, definitely. I think what's going to happen is, John, Skylar Thompson's going to start this week. I think he's going to shit the bed. And then I think Tyler Huntley will be the starter moving forward after this week, once he gets the playbook down, things like that. I could just foresee this happening. Like Skylar Thompson came in when Tua went down, and it was bad. It wasn't even close to being remotely successful or even okay. So yeah, man, this is tough. And I think that this really dampens, especially Jalen Waddle. I think Tyreek is so good that he can overcome this to a certain degree. I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult in terms of his deep ball action. I think it's going to be less of that, but I think that they're absolutely, he is the offense, him and Achane. So I think, and Waddle, I don't want to leave out Waddle there, but those 3 guys are really the offense there. But I think what this does is this quarterback in Skylar Thompson is going to find one guy and try to really hone in on one guy. And it's more than likely going to be Tyreek Hill. So I think that this could hinder Waddle just a tad moving forward.
It's going to take a few weeks to figure this out, what they're doing with this Miami offense. And they do so much creative shit anyway with different personnel. And we've got other personnel out. Raheem Mostert's still out. We're not really sure if he's going to be going this week. I think what will happen, though, I think they're going to manufacture touches for Achane and for Tyreek Hill. I think it's going to get very creative. Short, quick hits, reverses out of the backfield, some really creative shit. But yeah, they're all going to take a hit. They just are. That's what happens when your star quarterback goes down, your franchise quarterback goes down. I think it's going to affect Waddle much more. They'll find ways to get Tyreek the ball. So Waddle, I'm very nervous about. This is a shit quarterback going on the road to Seattle to play. I think it's going to be tough, man.
John, what could be interesting, though? Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off there, but what could be interesting, though, is Jonnu Smith. Jonnu Smith, could we see an uptick in the short game, 4 or 5 receptions, which is going to be more of a normal without Tua, things like that. That could be an interesting tight end stream if you need tight ends and you're in the streaming game. So keep that in your back pocket. Jonnu Smith could be very interesting.
Okay. Tank Bigsby, running back up to ETN, running back for the Jacksonville Jaguars, left the game with a shoulder injury. He got blasted against the Browns. Looked like a collarbone break is what it looked like. Justin Herbert, this one's interesting. He said he got rolled up on after the game. He never left the game. But after the game, he went and got x-rays done. The x-rays were negative on the lower leg, but keep an eye on him this week. He's just a little hobbled. I think he's going to play, but just keep an eye on that. Taysom Hill, tight end, running back, backup tax attorney, all the stuff for the New Orleans Saints, taken to the hospital after a chest injury. He was then released. The status for this week still unknown. Keep an eye on him. Sounded like a pretty bad injury, though, when it happened. All right, Tajay Spears left the game with an ankle injury. All right, talk about the implications here, man. I know that a guy you've gotten a little more excited about is Tony Pollard. We both weren't very high on Tony Pollard, and sure as shit, the guy's proven us wrong. That's one that I'll take an L on, but Good for him. Moving forward, I'm all about Tony Pollard right now.
Definitely. I mean, John, this just opens up the door even more so for Tony Pollard to take the lion's share of the load. And he's doing a very, very good job with it so far. So I think, like, even though, yeah, it's going to be kind of a problem if you have Tajay Spears, aka I'm one of those people. But again, he shouldn't have been starting anyways, right? So he was a backup in case Isaiah Pacheco goes down, right?
And he
right?
did.
And he
Yeah.
did, and both of them go down. Sorry, I'm just side note. But yes, so for me, man, Tony Pollard definitely increases. And I think that you leave it at that. I think Tony Pollard becomes a top 10 guy for this coming week and weeks to come with Tajay Spears being out.
All right, last bit of notes here. Joe Mixon also left the game, came back in, but it was an ankle injury. A lot of times the momentum and the adrenaline keeps you going and you play through an ankle injury and then it gets real sore after the game. But he got an MRI after the game. He avoided a major injury, but he could miss this week. Keep an eye on that. You've also got Dameon Pierce, who was out last week with a hamstring, and you had a healthy scratch of Cam Akers last week as well. So what are you thinking in this backfield? I mean, this feels very much like the Kansas City backfield where it's just like, I don't fucking know. You tell me, man.
I
What do
mean,
you think
John, this is tough. I mean, because Dameon Pierce was banged up heading into this week. And so then you have Cam Akers, to your point, who was a scratch. So I mean, if Mixon is out, guys, I personally, I would lean Cam Akers. And that's only because he looked phenomenal in the preseason. He's not banged up. He is healthy. And I think that even if it's a two-back tandem with Pierce and Cam Akers has got a chip on his shoulder. He's got something to prove. And what we're seeing from the other landscape in the running backs, I can name about 5 teams that would be drooling to have Cam Akers starting for them right now. So for me, man, I'm taking Cam Akers if Joe Mixon is out. You can get him for dirt cheap on the waiver, fellas.
I'm one of those guys. I'll take any of these. Just tell me a guy who's going to get 8 touches and I'll put him in because I've got my entire backfields are destroyed, man. They're gone. Absolutely gone. Yeah. I mean, Mixon he's had 39 attempts in two weeks at rushing. So, I mean, there's a lot of rushing going on in that team. So somebody's going to get some value because they're not stacking the boxes. You've got 3 stud receivers with CJ Stroud. So somebody's going to have some value. I would pick up either one of these guys. If you need a spot start, again, I agree with you. I think it's Cam Akers. But if Dameon Pierce is healthy, we've seen him run like crazy before.
Yeah.
And he's got the ability to do it. Hamstring injury doesn't make me feel good, though. That usually takes a few weeks. So keep an eye on that. Okay, Frankie, let's do a little Thursday night special. What do you think, huh? We got a Thursday night game coming up. Let's do a Thursday night preview. Talk to me about this game we got going on, baby.
Yeah, dude. God, after that funeral of injuries,
I know. Let's clear it off. Do you have some sage, some Palo Santo wood? I need something.
Let's
clear that negative juju.
Where's that crystal, John? You know, when you ding the crystal and get the vibrations, and
I've got one.
I do too. It's really good. I need one right now.
I vacation in Sedona. I'm very well versed with the crystal life. Of course.
Love it, dude. I'm all about it. Let's bring that crystal life into Thursday night preview, baby. So, John, we'll talk fantasy first, and then we'll get into a little bit of something here in a second. So we got the Patriots heading over to the Jets, man. So it is Patriots at the Jets Thursday night. Going to be crazy. For me, John, just talking fantasy first, I want to start with the Patriots here. Is Ramondre Stevenson not one of the most amazing surprises to the start of the season that we've seen? Like, I just think he was so underwhelming in terms of where his draft ADP was, where his expectation was because of this offense, because it's Jacoby Brissett. There's no receivers really, and they're going to stack the box with 14 guys on defense and literally line up and ready to hit them. And Ramondre's rocking it right now. I mean, just crushing it, coming off of a 120-yard game and a tutty. Yeah, baby. We'll take that all day. So I'm curious, man, like, what are your thoughts with Ramondre? And like, I mean, are you all about it, or is this just something that's just a 2-week special here?
I was wrong on Ramondre. I'll admit when I'm wrong. I'm going to dance all around the fucking place when I'm right, but I'll admit when I'm wrong. I didn't want anybody on this team, but they've been a surprise. They're playing really good defense and they're running the ball well. And I can't believe they're running the ball well. They don't have a pass game, really. They've got a game manager at quarterback, and they're just getting creative and being able to call audibles in the line and get Ramondre into some space, into some good looks. And he's playing great. It's not him. He's wonderful. He's been great. Yeah. I am concerned long-term. I do think that This is a candidate. This isn't a guy that you drafted that you have to start. I know we lost a lot of running backs right now in the first 2 weeks, but if you've got other guys, I think he's a sell high candidate. I really think you can take advantage of one of these guys who lost Pacheco and lost some of these other running backs, might be freaking out a bit. And if Ramondre's your third, maybe if you have four running backs, maybe you got somebody else you can plug in and play, or you hit on the waiver wire on somebody, I would move him. I would see what I can do and try to upgrade another piece and try to move him. Otherwise, though, I think he's going to be fine. I think they're finding ways to get him the ball, get him into space, give him some good looks. I don't know. The NFL's too smart, man. I just don't know how long that's going to last. Yeah. And do they make a quarterback change at some point? Do they get Drake May in there? That could change that entire dynamic. So, yes, I'm very happy for him. I'm cautiously optimistic, but I'm also going to try to make a move if my roster allows it.
Love it. And we got the Jets, other side, John. I mean, Aaron Rodgers coming back to form slowly. He's coming there. He's making his way. Garrett Wilson. I mean, what the hell is going on with Garrett Wilson? I mean, he's just okay. He's just okay. And it's been frustrating as hell. And now he's lining up against a solid ass defense. You're going to have Gonzalez and a couple of these other cornerbacks for, the Pats that have been doing a fairly good job. Do you have any issues with Garrett Wilson this week? Are you nervous? Would you even start him in a setting of daily fantasy? Is that something like, talk to me what you think of Garrett Wilson, man. I mean, he's my tier 1 champion.
Yeah. I'm not starting him in daily fantasy. I mean, the Pats defense is very good. Yeah. And they're going to look at trying to do everything they can to stop Garrett Wilson. I think Garrett Wilson's fine.
Yeah.
I think that Garrett Wilson, I think it is a slow start. Even though the Jets are turning it back around and looking good, it's still not Rodgers. He's still a bit of a statue when he drops back. He's not there yet. I think they're going to slowly get going. That passing offense is going to take some rhythm, going to take some reps. Luckily, they're leaning heavily on the defense and Breece Hall. And they don't have to have a prolific passing game yet. So as long as they can do that and slowly ease Rodgers in and get these guys to gel a little bit, I still think it's going to take a little while. But I think insane numbers are still in the future for Garrett Wilson. There'll be some games where he just goes absolutely apeshit. I just think it's going to take a little while. And they've played some good teams to start the year too. I mean, the Patriots, even though they're favored heavy to beat these guys, it's still a very good defense. So it's still going to be, I wouldn't expect giant numbers out of Rodgers and Garrett Wilson this week.
John, one other guy on the Jets that to me is just, he could be a sleeper. And I get it. He's a backup. But man, Braylon Allen is, dude, I mean, here's something interesting. For those listening and watching, he is the youngest player to ever record a rushing and a receiving touchdown in an NFL game, and he was backup. In addition to this, John, when he did get a touch, he had 9 total touches in the game for 56 yards and 2 tutties. I get that this is Breece Hall's team, but the question that I have for you as a Breece Hall owner, and I have to ask this, there's 2 of them. Number 1, are you nervous that Braylon Allen could start taking some of the share away like that of Tyler Algier has been doing with Bijan? And then the second question is, with all of the injuries happening, John, could you start Braylon Allen, or is this a 1 week total fluke kind of thing? Like, talk to me. Everybody's been asking me, and I'm curious what your thought is.
Well, I mean, I'm not necessarily threatened by Braylon Allen, but first I want to start off by our family league draft. Let's just start this off. Okay. You're doing this because you're an asshole and you're fucking with me. That's why you're doing it, man. Yeah. It's a keeper league. I kept Breece Hall in the 4th round. Beautiful keeper, by the way. Unbelievable. Frankie drafted Braylon Allen like an asshole. Most of the guys on the league didn't even know who Braylon Allen was. I had him sitting there going, I'll just grab him in the last round. Nobody knows who this fucking guy is. He's 20 years old, whatever. Frankie drafted him to cock block me. And I hope he rots on your bench all year long and you miss out on I hope you miss out on this year's Puka Nacua. Yeah, it was great to see. I mean, you got a 40-year-old guy, one of the oldest in the NFL, handing off to a 20-year-old guy. Is that crazy to see? It could be a son, for fuck's sake,
It's nuts. It's so nuts.
It's crazy. No, I'm not threatened. Yeah, I would have liked Breece Hall to have those 2 touchdowns. But I mean, the guy's going to come in and spell Brees Hall, and the guy can ball. I mean, that's the bottom line. He looks great. So I think it's a good thing, man. I mean, I'd love to see a little 1-2 punch out of there, but no, I'm not worried about it tapping in too much to Brees. No, I also don't think you can start the guy. It could have been lightning in a bottle.
Yeah.
I would not expect that 2 weeks in a row. Now, you do see him string together a couple of games like that, though, and he gets 8 touches, 10 touches, something like that. Then, then you can absolutely consider putting him in a running back too.
I mean, shit, man. At this point, I know I could use it. Holy hell. And I know a bunch of people could use it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just curious, because that's definitely a guy, when you're putting up 2 tutties as a rookie behind a arguably a top 3 back in the NFL right now, man. I mean, right? What is there fantasy relevance there? So we're going to have to wait and kind of see and see how this pans out,
I will be making a move. If you've got Brees Hall, if you don't have Braylon Allen and he's not on the waivers and somebody has him, I'd try to make a move for him. I wouldn't spend a ton, but just the way all of these running back situations have gone, I'd really look to make sure you've got a handcuff for a guy like Brees Hall, like CMC. Some of these guys that do have actual handcuffs, try to get it, because we've seen it in 2 weeks already. You're going to need it, man. In case of emergency, break glass. There's a lot of glass all over the fucking floor right now, man.
Get some insurance policy, baby.
That's right.
Take out an insurance policy on that house. Well, John, we also got to frank it up a bit. Hit that shit for a second, would you?
Let's frank it up.
Frank it up, baby.
You got to frank it up.
Frank it up. Frank it up.
Yeah.
And before we frank it up, John, again, guys, want to hit on our new partnership with that of Sign Up Expert and BetStamp. Again, guys, if you're looking to place a bet, why not get some free shit with it, right? So this is an incredible opportunity for you to join some of our favorite sports books to get the best odds and new user offers. Again, if you don't have the sports book, that is where you get these offers. Put in $20 and get a bonus bet back. You're losing nothing doing it. So head over to our dedicated page at signupexpert.com/that of Frankly to explore a selection of tailored sports books that are specific to your regions, each with unique offerings. So if you're ready to take your sports betting to the next level like I did, like Johnny did, and we're hitting on some of these bets coming up, check it out. We highly recommend signing up for your next sports book through my Sign Up Expert link, and you can see it right here. And then you'll be able to sign up for those sports books. So check it out, guys. Now, with those sports books, let's talk about a bet that we can maybe use for them, John. And again, we're talking the Thursday night here, baby. Right now, the line is opened at -6.5 for the Jets. Okay. Over under is 37.5.
Oh,
37.5?
That's low.
That's low. That's so low. Here's some interesting things to keep in mind, guys. If you're interested in betting on this game, okay, Pats have covered in 6 of the last 7 matchups dating back to 2021. Okay. The Pats have also covered the spread in both games this season. In addition, the over has hit in both Jets games this season. So what is this saying? This is saying, Frank, well, if you were betting, man, again, not saying it's going to hit, but if you were dabbling a little bit, what would you do? Guys, bring out the teas. Get it going, get it warmed up, get it saucy, because that's what we're going in. We're taking Pats plus 12.5, and we're going to go over 31.5. I think that Ramondre Stevenson is going to do enough to be able to keep the Jets in, or to keep the Pats in the game against the Jets. I think Jacoby Brissett is the perfect type of game manager to not let this game slip away from them. I think the Jets defense is kind of struggling right now. I think that the way that the Titans kind of ripped them up a bit, we saw what happened in week 1 against San Francisco. I mean, that was crazy, right? And so I think that, yes, as tough as those two kind of matches were, the Patriots are not that. But I definitely think that what that showed is the Jets have some holes in their defense that maybe it wasn't there. And CJ Mosley is hurt, one of their superstar linebackers. So you put all of that together. I do think the Jets come out with the win. I don't think the Patriots are losing by 13 on a Thursday night game, baby. So I'm going to roll with 12.5 with the over 31.5. John, what do you think there?
I love it. Yeah. I mean, Vegas obviously thinks that the Patriots can still play defense and run the ball, and they can run the ball on the Jets. I mean, that's what they're going to be able to do. So, yeah, I'm with you on that, man. I love it. Hey, taking a 31.5 over? Of course. I'm all in. Let's go.
Shit, man. I might even take the normal 37.5, John. I mean, 37.5 in an NFL game? That's crazy.
Han Solo. Yes. Oh, yes. All right, man. Let's do it. Let's get to the hit it's and quit it's, baby. All right, Frankie, let's hear about your first hit it. Hit it and quit it, guys. That's our starts and sits. Frankie, who's your first start?
My first start, John, is going to be Brandon Aiyuk this week against that of the Los Angeles Rams. John, Brandon Aiyuk has been abysmal in the first 2 weeks. Let's call it what it is. Probably has to do with him not being in camp at all. So now with Deebo Samuel out, now with CMC still out, all of these things are coming to fruition. George Kittle's a little bit banged up. I do think he's going to be back and good to go. But again, with all of these injuries, it is now time. Brandon Aiyuk, BA, you've gotten the bag. You've gotten your payday. Now show what you got, man. Last week, John, he had 5 targets, 4 receptions, 43 yards, and he had a terrible TD drop. I mean, his stat line would have went significantly up. Fantasy points completely different. And he dropped it. So I don't expect that to happen this coming week against that of the Rams that are completely decimated. So for me, man, I'm firing up BA and rocking with it.
Oh, I'm heavily invested in BA, man. I need Aiyuk in like 3 or 4 different leagues. So I'm with you. I'm hoping, man. He only had 5 targets in each of the first 2 games. So I'm hoping that increases quite a bit. But it should based on what's going on right now. All right, man, let's get to my first hit it here. My first hit it, I'm going to be a homer pick here, man. Let's go. You got the hat. I got a shirt with a little brownie on it. I got the helmet in the background. Let's go. I'm going to go with Jerome Ford, running back for the Cleveland Browns. Let's go. Dog check, baby. All right. Jerome Ford, he's playing at home against the New York Giants. First of all, you just say that and you go, yeah, I want to start that guy right there, baby. Aaron Jones against the Giants in week 1 ran for 95 yards and a touchdown. Brian Robinson in week 2 ran for 133 yards. Austin Eckler, the other guy in that backfield, 85 total yards. So listen, man, these guys give it up. Okay. Do they give it up? They give it up. Okay. They're taking the dress off on prom night every single time. Currently, Jerome Ford's a running back 22 with very minimal usage. Hasn't been used a ton. Again, the Browns in week 1 trying to figure out their identity, see what's going on here. Kind of turned it around a bit on offense in week 2. But Jerome Ford's looking pretty good. I just love the situation he's in right now against this New York Giants defense. The Browns are getting right, and they want to establish the run. They have to, whether they want to or not, they have to establish the run, and they have to take pressure away from Deshaun Watson. Any other quarterback in the world have more pressure than Deshaun Watson right now? I don't think so. Personal pressure, professional pressure, literal pressure at his face coming from all the teams in the AFC North. But I think this is going to be a really nice way for the Browns to play great defense. The defense really came on last week, and to run the ball. They're not going to have to take a lot of deep shots here. So I think that recipe right there is beautiful for Jerome Ford.
Love it, man. John, my second hit it here is going to be a hot take coming in for a guy who hasn't done shit. I'm talking literal poop, like awful. Zamir White, the starting running back, and I'm putting it in quotes, for the Raiders. You're damn right, and I'm firing him up. You know why? Because he's playing the shittiest team I think I've ever seen in my life, the Carolina Panthers. And we had an 0-17
You're just going to
team.
start the running back who's playing against the Panthers, or start him every week,
time.
aren't you?
Every
single week? Okay, just want to make sure.
Until they prove otherwise, I'm firing their ass up. I'm firing up Zamir's grandma too. Why not? At this point, screw it. Get her involved. She'll be better than what we've seen from the Panthers. And here's what's interesting, man, is that this is the home opener for Vegas as well. So they've had 2 away games. So now they finally get to stay home. They are going to be inside that big, beautiful new stadium that they have. And John, I think that this is the get right game for Zamir White. And if not, he could definitely lose the job full-time to Madison. So he's had 22 rushes over the last 2 games, which is actually not too bad. And he's had 68 yards. So he hasn't done anything with the rushes that he has. Again, he's played some really tough teams here, right? And then he just got done playing the Ravens. So now to come off the Ravens and now you're playing the Panthers, I expect big shit from Zamir. So I'm firing you up. Hot take. You're one of Frankie's hit it's this week.
Okay, you know what? I'm staying in Vegas, man. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So we're gonna stay there right now. Yeah, my second hit it here, man. It's Brock Bowers, the tight end for the Raiders, man. This guy, I drafted him everywhere. I put my money where my mouth was. We did a great rookie review on him. A lot of people were interested. That was one of our most downloaded videos and viewed videos because people wanted to know who this guy was. I'll tell you who he is. He's a fucking stud. Is who he is. This is a different type of tight end that we've seen in quite a while. He's the tight end 2 right now, by the way. Okay. You can Sam Laporta-esque, but there's a caveat here. He's the tight end 2 right now, tight end 3 each week 1 and week 2 so far. He doesn't even have a touchdown yet, Frank. That's unusual for tight ends. Tight ends, they have to score a touchdown in order to be relevant that week. This guy's a tight end 2 with 0 touchdowns. He's just getting peppered with balls, man. I mean, he's just doing everything that we were hoping he would do. He came out in week 1 and he did it. They're not going to have to throw the ball a lot against this Carolina team. Nobody does. That's why you see, that it's a terrible matchup for receivers and everything. You're like, why? They suck. They don't have to throw the ball. They run the ball the whole game. Yeah. But with what Brock Bowers does, we talked about it in his rookie review when we were looking at his film. He's catching a lot of balls around the line of scrimmage. It's basically a run. It's a way to get the ball quickly to a star on your team, and they do that. And it's been working, man. So keep peppering Brock Bowers with targets. Right. Get him on your team. Enjoy it this week against the Panthers.
God, I love that pick, John. You know who he's like what we would expect Dalton Kincaid to have been already through the first 2 weeks. And Dalton Kincaid hasn't. And so now, like, Brock Bowers is that guy, dude. And God, I'm so happy that you took him because we talked him up so much and watched so much film. So good freaking hit it, baby. Love it. John, I'll tell you what, man. I'm also going to do another something crazy here. With all of the injuries happening, what about a flex piece? Let's talk about a flex hit it, a flex start that is probably on a waiver that is definitely shouldn't be after this week. Demarcus Robinson versus that of San Francisco. Number 1, terrible matchup. Let's call it what it is. San Francisco should beat the shit out of the Los Angeles Rams. But what does that mean? It is a great positive game script for Demarcus Robinson. And then no Cooper Kupp, no Puka Nacua. You have Tyler Johnson and you have Demarcus Robinson. And honestly, man, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. And so for me, man, this is a really good opportunity to get Tutu Atwell is the other guy as well. So they have Tutu Atwell and then Demarcus Robinson and Tyler Johnson. But for me, man, I like this guy. He had 4 targets last week against the Cardinals. He caught 2 of them for 50 yards. Again, it is all about opportunity. This is an opportunity start. There's nobody else that they're going to be throwing the ball to, maybe Colby Parkinson and the other guys that I mentioned. So take a risk. This is the time to do it. Could be a positive game script, locking in Demarcus Robinson.
It's a garbage time.
It's garbage
start
time
of the week. Yep.
And again, this is flex, John.
Yeah.
For those listening and watching, I'm not talking about keep putting him in your receiver 2 spot. Like I'm talking at best a flex.
Got it. All right, my last hit it here, man. I mean, this one seems kind of obvious, but it's just not a guy a lot of people talk about. I'm talking about the wide receiver 1 on the year currently. Yes, that is Chris Godwin. Okay. Chris Godwin for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're playing at home against the Denver Broncos. I see a theme here and a pattern. It seems like we like guys who start against the Carolina Panthers and the Denver Broncos.
No.
A little real hard-hitting fucking analysis coming out of Frankly today, I know. But I love what I see with Godwin. I've never really been a huge fan of his, but watching what he's doing this year, I love it.
It's awesome.
I don't know if he's just healthy now and he and Baker have a better connection after last year or what the deal is, but the guy's been playing out of his mind. He's the wide receiver 1 right now. Like I said, each of the first 2 weeks, he's had at least 8 targets and a touchdown. I mean, my God, is there any other stat that you want to see from your receiver that he's getting 8 targets a game and he's going to score a touchdown? I mean, that's done. Give it to me. Perfect. Sign it up every single time, man. Baker Mayfield playing out of his mind and Denver being a dumpster fire. I don't need to go into a lot here, man. This is why you're starting them. You're going to love it. You're going to feel great about it. Enjoy. All right, Frankie, who are you quitting this week? Who are you going to quit?
Ooh, John, I'm going to be quitting Michael Pittman Jr.
Ooh.
Tough quit. Tough quit. Hear me out. He's playing against Chicago. Chicago's defense is legit. If you've seen Jalen Johnson play, you know that they are absolutely legit. And the way they got torched by Green Bay's defense, John, yeah, they're going to be in them for a long day if that's the case. And that's how that Colts team is going to be playing. So the other thing that's really interesting, John, is Michael Pittman Jr., man, he had 7 targets, which is great, but he had 3 receptions for 21 yards against Green Bay. Okay, well, the week 1 then, right? What was that? 8 targets. That's great. 4 catches for 31 yards against Houston. Unfortunately, like as I mentioned, the defenses aren't going to get any easier here with Chicago. And yes, the target share is great. Execution, not so much. Therefore, I'm going to look elsewhere, man. I'm quitting Michael Pittman Jr.
Yeah, he's getting the targets, which is fine long term.
Sure.
I don't think you need to move Michael Pittman Jr. I think they can figure it out. He's getting targeted heavily. They're just not quality targets right now. So they got to figure out a way to get those to be quality targets and to get the ball in his hands with a lot higher percentage completions for sure. I'm with you, man. I don't hate that at all. It hurts my soul, but
Hurts.
I don't hate it. Yeah. All right. My first quit it, man. This one's going to be controversial. Okay.
Big time.
I know it is, but this is totally situational. And I'm not saying you have to sit this guy. I'm saying if you have the luxury of doing so, I would. This is Kyren Williams, running back for the Los Angeles Rams, man. I know this is a 2nd round pick for you guys.
Yeah.
And I'm saying sit him, and it's week 3. That's fucking crazy. I get it. He's the running back 19 right now. Forget about where you drafted these guys. The draft's over. Nothing matters anymore, guys. It just doesn't. He's the running back 19, and he scored a touchdown each week. So he's really struggling on the ground, man. His efficiency is just absolutely terrible. He's under 3 yards per carry right now. I don't want to start any running backs that are under 3 yards a carry. I mean, It's just, that's not good efficiency. Do you think that's going to get better with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua not being in there? And he's throwing to Colby Parkinson and Demarcus. I know he's your start of the week, Frank, but I'm just saying he's a Jag. This is a team of Jags right now that's hanging around with Matthew Stafford and Kyren Williams.
Just
a guy. Yeah. So I don't love it. I think defenses are going to be able to really focus in on Kyren Williams, stack the box. And I mean, that's what I would do. Shut him down completely. Make Matthew Stafford beat you with Tutu Atwell. You know? Well, at least they're not playing a great defense. Oh, shit. They're playing the 49ers this week. That's the main reason, man. If they were just playing an average team, I would say Kyren Williams can volume his way into a decent day and not kill you. I don't think he's going to be able to do that here with this team, man. I just don't. Okay, so if you have other options, I know we just talked about the bloodbath and there's bodies all over the fucking play. Let the bodies hit the floor right now should be the theme of this episode. But if you do have other options, I suggest you look elsewhere than Kyren Williams this week.
Like the red wedding. That's what I feel like after like talking about it. I just feel like all of us, all fantasy football players collectively together, we're walking into week 2 and just, you know what I mean? Like from every way. And we just walk out like in shambles. Like if you made it out, you're barely making it out. Unless you're Sean.
Catlin Stark went down. Rob Stark went down. Everybody went down, man. It is the red wedding.
John, my second quit it. The second guy I'm quitting is another kind of a hot take. Again, it's a guy that you probably are going to need to start or you have to start in larger leagues, 12-man, 14-man, etc. Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk at Buffalo, man. Again, he has 3.9 fantasy points combined in half PPR through the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, I know. He's in my flex. I know, Frank.
With good game scripts, John. With good game scripts. It wasn't like that's what's shocking to me. It's like Trevor Lawrence and him, and I get it. It's week 2, and I don't want to be an overreaction, but I'm overreacted a little bit, man. I mean, it's kind of crazy. I mean, so for me, man, and again, you're playing against a damn good Buffalo defense that, honestly, I didn't think Buffalo's defense was going to be as stout as what they have been with a lot of the injuries. But for me, man, again, playing at Buffalo in a AFC showdown type of match with you are in a must-win situation if you are the Jags here, or what the hell else is going to happen? I mean, for me, man, I'm not willing to put my flex on it. I think there's other options out there. So for me, I'm quitting on Christian Kirk.
All right, my last quitted here. It's going to be Justin Herbert, quarterback for the Los Angeles Chargers. They play at Pittsburgh this week, man. I don't think you can start this guy even if he wasn't playing Pittsburgh right now. This is a different offense. This is a different team. It's a hardball offense. We all heard that in the offseason that, they're going to run the ball and they're going to run the ball 40 times and this and that. And we're all like, come on, it's the NFL, guys. You can't, hardball's old school shit isn't going to work here. Guess what? They've run the ball 38 times last week. I mean, they're running the ball like crazy. Yeah. And that's what's happening. And they're 2-0. So, yeah. Is it sustainable against a team like Pittsburgh? I don't know. But Justin Herbert, he's a quarterback 26. They're 2-0, and he's a quarterback 26. So that says a lot right there. He's got 3 touchdowns in 2 weeks, 17 for 26 on 144 yards in week 1, 14 for 20 for 130 yards in week 2. Is this Anthony fucking Richardson or is this Justin Herbert? Oh, he must have a really high rushing floor, right? No, he doesn't. No, not at all. Yeah, I mean, the guy's just not putting up points, man. There's just no passing volume on this team. Could they go down heavy with the defensive touchdowns in this game and have to throw a ton? Yeah, that's a possible outcome that could prove me wrong. But Pittsburgh's also only scored 1 touchdown and they're 2-0 as well. So I think it's going to be a very low scoring game, a lot of running the ball and a lot of defense being played. And I think Justin Herbert's just going to struggle. He's also a little bit banged up. Like we said, somebody rolled up on him. I think he's going to play. You can't start him this week, guys. Look for other options for sure. All right, Frankie, that is our episode. We got week 3 for everybody here.
Week
a little
3.
starts and sits for everyone. Frankie, what are we looking at next week, man?
Guys, get ready first and foremost before we hit on next week. Every Friday, this coming Friday, we're going to do Fridays with Frankie. Guys, I gave you some insight this past Friday, and it actually came true with a lot of this stuff with Keenan Allen and a few other things you need to be paying attention to. So I will be coming at you every Friday for a quick 55, maybe 57 seconds that are going to give you a fun rundown. And Johnny boy, we are going to be back next week. Same time, same place. Getting ready for week 4.
Guys, you got to check out the Fridays with Frankie. It's fantastic. It's the top 5 things you need to know before the weekend, before the games start. And it's information that we couldn't cover in this episode because more stuff comes out with all these injuries. It's very important. But he's going to hit on this stuff on Fridays, give you last-minute tips and tricks. It's all going to be on all social media, YouTube. It's found everywhere. It's on the shorts and the reels. So look for that. If you guys want to get that and you don't see it, contact us. Shoot us a message. We'll make sure that you're able to get it every week and send it out to you. So enjoy the Fridays with Frankie. It's been awesome. But make sure you follow us, guys. Social media is where you find that as well. Frankly Fantasy Football, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter. What else we got? Instagram. We're everywhere, guys. We're everywhere. We're everywhere and nowhere. It's wonderful. All right. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. Have a great week. Good luck to you. And oh, God, I'm so scared. Please, I mean this with all my heart. I'm actually praying. May the fantasy gods smile upon me.